Today I want to share with you golden rule number, I don't know what number it is. It's just a really important rule of training which is often overlooked. And by often, I mean pretty much the majority of the time. So like whenever anyone gets into a new training program, they want to get into shape, they want to get fit, they very, very, very rarely come at it from this angle. And yet this is one of the most powerful changes I made in my own approach to training, diet and exercise, and no doubt will be paramount to helping you as well. This is fundamental to every athlete, training program, progress, etc. In fact, that's kind of the point. The golden rule is forget about what you look like, focus on what you can do. So focus on what you can do with your body. How fast can you go? How much can you lift? How far can you go? Perhaps how long can you go for? Indeed. And now, what most people do when they first start getting into a plan, because to be fair, it's usually prompted by some kind of physical desire to look different. It's just the reality for most people. So sometimes it's okay. If someone's really, 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 really overweight, then it might be a case of do this or I'm going to die in extreme cases. But for most people, they just want to get into shape. They want to look better for their partner. They want to find a partner, whatever it is. As vacuous as that sounds. Now, I'll be honest. I was there. I'm still not gonna lie, I still like to be in shape. And a lot of that probably comes from the fact that I was a slightly chubby kid. But hey, when you get beyond that first phase of looking at how big your muscles are and thinking because that lasts a long time. You're gonna be the smallest person or one of the more overweight people in that. If you just started out, you're gonna go to a gym and you're gonna be surrounded by people who are, in subjective terms, perhaps from your point of view, in better shape, right? And this isn't directed at anyone, obviously, individually, but this is just kind of like a typical journey that someone goes through. And this is a really hard time because, you're going to start, the body dysmorphia is going to start kicking in. You're going to feel perhaps slightly inadequate. And then it comes back to this faith idea that I discussed a couple of days ago, where you just have to accept the science that as you move, as you train, as you work against resistance, as you use energy, trust in the laws of thermodynamics, you are going to see a difference. You are going to burn energy, you are going to lose weight, or you are going to see improvements in performance. So there's really three reasons why I think this is a really important golden rule. The first is I just touched on, that is this body dysmorphia idea. So in other words, how we appear to ourselves is incredibly subjective. Our mind is a very strange thing, and even if we actually look quite great to other people, again, I said earlier that in our own eyes we might not be good enough, and more often than not that is nothing more than our brain playing tricks on us. Okay, that is usually what's going on there. The brain is very good at narrowing its focus to a select few things, and there's a famous scene, I can't remember what film it's from, but it's a documentary about bodybuilders, and there's a Phil Heath, I think he's the current Mr. Olympia. In other words, he is considered by the majority of the world to be one of the best bodybuilders ever, and in the aesthetic sport, he's at the top of the game. He beats everybody, and he's been beating everyone for years, a couple of years at least. And after the show, he's coming away thinking, I don't quite like that bit of my body, I wish I could improve that. And it's like, you just beat everyone, you've been voted to have like the best physique on the planet and you're still not happy. Like, by what standard is he measuring himself? That is body dysmorphia. So that's the first reason. The second reason is the more practical, and that is that simply when you can do what when you can do what an athlete can do, when you can do what Chris Hoy can do, you'll look like Chris Hoy. When you can run a 5K in 14 minutes, you'll look like Mo Farah. When you can run 100 meters in sub 10, you'll look like Usain Bolt. Forget about what you look like, focus on what you can do. That is how you end up looking like that. Looking a certain way comes as a natural matter of course from actually being able to do the thing that you do. A lot of people, they want to look like athletes, but they're not prepared to pay the cost to actually do what an athlete does and train like an athlete to get to that point. And I mentioned this the other day, it's far better to be real about the cost of something. Like if you were going to go and buy a car, you wouldn't sort of put down half the money and then walk away with half the car or zero of the car, because that's not what you want. You would set your stall out and you would know what the cost of the car is, and then you decide, do I want to pay that or don't I want to pay that? if you know what the cost of a certain condition is, then you can decide whether or not you want to pay that price. Do you want to train 12 times a week and be like elite level? Do you want to look elite level? Do you want to be able to perform at an elite level? Do you want to train 7 times a week and be like in the top 2%, you know, like still kind of be in some of the best shape facts that many people that you know? Do you want to go 3-4 times a week and still be in, you know, pretty good shape? So I think the problem is that a lot of people don't know what the cost is, you know, either because of lack of personal experience or because deliberate self-delusion. So don't fall into that category. That's not healthy, very common in the world of fitness, just because of how such a touchy area it is. And I appreciate I'm talking about this in quite a sort of perhaps a direct way, but it's because this is a very helpful way to achieve what you want to achieve and to find your optimum level, because everyone has their pleasant middle, and I hope that this is informative, helping you get there. But you can take solace because of the third reason. The third reason why it's important to forget what you look like is because it doesn't actually matter, guys. It doesn't matter at all. Like, who gives a crap? Okay. You know, sometimes my girlfriend who's quite slim, but she doesn't really she goes to the gym occasionally now, but when she was living with me, she didn't really go much at all. And she's always saying to me, like, you know, don't you mind that, because you're kind of in there every day? And I'm just like, no, I literally could not care less whether you go to the gym or not. I could not care what weight you are, even, you know, like, as long as you're not unhealthy, and you know, as long as you know, I think most people can actually wear their weight quite well if they're comfortable with it. And again, caveat that, because there is a point where it becomes unhealthy, and if you feel unhealthy in yourself, and if it's prohibitive to what you need to do, and then that's a different argument altogether. So I'm not saying, like, you know, go and fill your boots, but necessarily, but I think there's way more stigma over this than necessary, and it's really down to the individual. I say this all the time. It's so, and I think at the end of the day, like, you come to realize this. That the more you train, sometimes the more you realize how much effort you've got to put in to get to a certain point, and how many years it takes. And it's only natural that you go through peaks and troughs, injuries. You know, I think, like, show me an athlete that hasn't had an injury, and when you inevitably do have one at some point, you know, you might take some steps back, and that's incredibly frustrating, to say the least. It can be a very dark time, actually, you know, when you can't train, and not only do you have the physical pain and the frustration, but also perhaps a feeling of like you're getting out of shape. And that, if for someone who is addicted to exercise and feels like being in shape is kind of part of their identity, that's a really hard place. So at the end of the day, it's really healthy to practice this and to realize that actually it's just another internal storyline. You know, oh great, I'm in shape, so what? You know, it's like, that's great for you, but it's not like a slight on anyone else. You know, it's a personal decision. So there you go. There's quite a lot in there. Those 3 reasons are: beware of body dysmorphia, take practical steps to get into shape, not subjective, vain means. And thirdly, it doesn't really matter that much. Like, enjoy the ride, enjoy the results, but don't make it an obsession to the point that your well-being and happiness is dependent on how good shape you're in. Because one day we're all going to go out of shape, perhaps, in some sense. You know, I have every intention of sort of staying slim, but there will be a day when I probably can't move as flexibly. I can't walk as fast or as easily or as far. And then there might be a day when I can barely move at all, and then one day I'll die just like everyone else. So these things are fleeting, and they're there to be enjoyed as the fleeting things that they are. So I hope that was useful, guys. I shall chat to you next time.